Hey, Andrew.
What?
Cubes?
Cubes. About a year and a half, I waited for this deck to be updated. And I had to do it under these fucking conditions.
I mean, they are a virus.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to Team Forbidden's YouTube page again. It is Andrew the Collector here, back with one of my newer favorite decks of all time, Cubics. I remember when these cards first came out, when the Dark Side of Dimensions movie came out. I loved the archetype, but man, the archetype was garbage back then. And lo and behold, they finally announced that they got new support for it in the premium pack in the OCG, and we didn't know when the fuck that was going to come out. It was such good support, and I was so excited for it. And it was finally released in Dual Overload. And lo and behold, everything is shut down and put on hold right now. Ah, that sucks. But I'm here for you guys, and I'm going to do an update for it regardless. So let's get right into it. So obviously, you are on 3 V-Jumps. The Cubic Seed. Now, brief history for those of you who don't know what cubics are. Cubics' main gimmick are cubic counters that get spread to your opponent's monsters. When your opponent has a cubic counter on it, 2 things happen. Their effects are negated, and they cannot declare an attack. You know, they can still change their battle position and all that, but those are the main things. V-Jom is a monster that can't be destroyed by battle, and if a monster battles it, you activate its effect to put it in the spell and trap zone, and the monster that battled it gets a cubic counter. And then during your standby phase, you can activate its effect to resummon it back to the field. And guess what? That cubic counter stays. And yeah, so you want him at 3 because he interacts well with other cards we'll get to in a second. Now for my favorite card, and the boss monster of the deck, Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. Oh, this guy is a beast.
And a cube.
And a cube. One of the only 2, in fact, in a cubic deck. Like Rada says, was Hokai too spooky? Anyway, he's easily summoned out. All you have to do is reveal 3 cubic cards in your hand with different names. That's the only clutch. And you summon him out, and that's not once per turn. He's unaffected by monster effects with 3,000 or less. And if he attacks and destroys a monster, you activate his effect, and he can attack twice again in that turn. Keep in mind, let's say you have 2 of them out on the field, and your opponent has 2 monsters. You attack one of them, activate his effect to attack again, attack the other one with the other one, and activate his effect again, and then they both can declare another attack. Because that twice attack is not in a row. You can attack anytime you want during that same battle phase. Oh, and also during the end phase of your turn, each of you and your opponent takes 3k burn damage.
That's crazy.
Unfortunately, that is once per turn, so you can't, to obviously prevent hard draws and shit like that. But yeah, he's your main win condition for the deck, hands down. Next is probably the card that makes the deck most playable is Duza, the Crimson Vessel. His attack gain is irrelevant, so I'm not even going to go into it. But when he is summoned out to the field, you can send a cubic card from your deck to your graveyard that is not once per turn. And a lot of your cubic cards have floating effects, which I'll get into later. So yeah, you run 3 of him, no less. If you're not running 3, you're not playing cubics. And one of Garu, guile. You mainly use him to do Cowboy for game, because when you summon him by sending a cubic monster from your side of the field to the graveyard, and you summon him out, and when you summon, you burn 800 damage. Yeah, the rest of his effect is irrelevant because we're not running any of the other cubic monsters that he interacts with. And one Buster Gun Deal, probably the best one out of obviously V-Jom, Crimson Nova, and Duza. You summon him by sending 3 cubic monsters you control to the graveyard. He gains 3,000 attack, and he can attack 3 times. And if he's destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon 3 cubic monsters from your graveyard and either add a cubic card from your graveyard or your deck to your hand. Most of the time you're going to be adding him so that you can just resummon him and just do it all over again. So, it's really good. 2 Summoner Monk. Like I said, your spell cards have floating effects, and you can use him to get out your Duza a lot faster, plus good rank 4s. And 2 of the big forehead bathwater baby, as John likes to call it. That's it for the monsters. Onto the spells. Our draw power. We don't really rely on our extra deck, so this card just says draw 2. If you can't afford this, I would suggest Pod Desires, Upstart Goblin, probably Pod Duality, but you do a lot of special summons, but I mean that's if you really have to go real budget. Next, 3 Cubic Karmas. This is probably the spine of the deck. So I'll just get into it one at a time. When it's activated from the hand, you send up to 3 V-Jumps, the Cubic Seed, from your deck to your graveyard, and target a Cubic monster on your side of the field, and that monster gains 800 attack for each Cubic Seed sent. And if V-Jump is special summoned during your opponent's turn, you send this to the graveyard and half their life points. That's rarely going to come up, but what you're using it most often is while it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to add a Cubic monster from your deck to your hand, and that is not once per turn. So if you have 3 in the graveyard, you banish them 3 times, and that's 3 searches. It's like Duza, you either run 3 or you can't play Cubics. Another 3 of is Cubic Dharma. Thank you. While it's active on the field, you take no battle damage from battle involving a Cubic monster, and it has 2 effects. The first one, while it's face up on the field, you can send a Cubic card from your hand to the graveyard to draw 1 card to fix the bricks in your hand. Plus, if you have Karma in your hand, you activate this, send this, draw 1 card, banish this, and you get a search. And while it's in the graveyard, it's like Cubic Karma, except you can add a Cubic monster from your graveyard to your hand. So you finally have recursion for your Crimson Nova. That's why it's at 3. And 2 Cubic Wave. You can activate this not once per turn. Target a Cubic monster you control and one your opponent controls. Double your monster's attack and halve their monster's attack. And while it's in the graveyard, its floating effect is you banish it and any number of Cubic monsters, and then spray Cubic counters to your opponent's monster equal to the amount of Cubic monsters you banished. And both those effects are not once per turn, so you can stack. It's great. 3 Foolish Burial of Goods.
Self-explanatory, pretty much.
Yeah, if all your traps and your spells have floating effects, so you need 3. And then 3 Begone Demon Child, because hand traps really hurt this deck. Now onto the traps. Probably my favorite of the new ones, Cubic Ascension. This thing is so good. It's a trap card with 2 effects. The first one, when your opponent declares an attack, you can activate this, special summon a V-Jump from anywhere, hand, deck, or graveyard, to your side of the field, and the attack target is redirected to that V-Jump, and you proceed directly into damage step, essentially giving them a Cubic counter. And while it's in the graveyard, sorry, I lost my train of thought. While it's in the graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard if your opponent has 2,000 or more life points to special summon a V-Jump from anywhere. And if they were the one to only have monsters on the field, you can special summon out 2 more. So yeah, and since it's a trap card, you can activate that during your opponent's turn. It's nuts. Oh, and I misspoke. The first special summon is only from the deck. I forgot about that. So while it's face down, you activate it, you can only special summon it from the deck. So ignore what I said before. 2 of Cubic Casualty. It's basically another Cubic sprayer. It's distribute any number of Cubic counters face up on your opponent's monsters up to the number of cubic monsters that you control. So if you have 1, you give them 1. If you have 2, give them 2, and so on. And the graveyard effect is you banish it to target a cubic monster you control. If that cubic monster destroys a monster that your opponent controls with a cubic counter on it, they lose life points equal to that monster's original attack. Pretty good. 1 Unification of the Cubic Lords. I was running this at 3, but now with the new trap cards, I only need to run it at 1. It's a fusion trap for Trinity.
Never going off.
Never going off, but once in a blue moon, you never know. But its flowing effect in the graveyard is if a cubic monster you control leaves the field by any means, you banish this from your deck to special summon a cubic monster, ignoring its summoning conditions for level 4 or lower. And for the rest of that turn, it can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. But you never ever want to draw it. That's why it's only at 1. And then the Solemn Judgments. That's it for the main deck. Now off to the extra deck. 1 Trinity, because like I said, once in a blue moon you may be able to get the trap card off, and if you get him out, it's pretty busted, but yeah. Next are just a bunch of Super Poly targets, because Super Poly is in our extra deck, spoiler alert, just to let you know. And then just Abyss Dweller, Tornado Dragon, and Silent Honor Arc for your rank 4s. I can't find my Baguska anywhere. If you have a Baguska, take out Arc for Baguska. Now off to the side deck. This side deck is subject to change, like we said before, that once the game gets back up and running after the whole quarantine thing. But standard 3 Nibiru, 3 Super Poly, 3 Twin Twisters, Dark Bribe, 2 Imperm, and 1 Imperial Order. And then, of course, tokens. And that is it for the Cubic deck profile. I've been waiting for this deck to come out for so long. I'm so glad that it's finally playable, and I cannot wait to take it to my first locals. I will give you updates on if I need to change it in the future, which most likely it will, depend on how the ban list goes, and I may need to update it to accommodate for it. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Check out our merch. We have finally released our new t-shirt. So if you want to help support the channel, go check that out on Teespring. Links will be down in the description below, and we will catch you guys later.